In the last 4 hours, ex-football hero Weah vows to end corruption in Liberia at swearing in. George Weah sworn in as Liberian president. Complete historic transition Osinbajo leaves for Davos after attending George Weah's swearing in earlier today. Joy and hope in Liberia as George Weah sworn in as president. Video. Joy and hope in Liberia as George Weah sworn in as president. In the last 6 hours, Liberia, UN welcomes new president's inauguration. I won't let you down. Weah assures Liberians in the last 8 hours. Weah sworn in as Liberian president. Vows to end corruption. Liberia swears in. George Weah, its soccer star president George Weah sworn in as president. Liberia's new president pledges commitment to one China policy. Yesterday, former soccer star George Weah sworn in as Liberia's president. What I will do as Liberia president. George Weah video. Weah takes oath of office in Liberia. Osinbajo leads Nigeria's delegation to Economic Forum in Davos. George Weah sworn in as Liberia's president. Weah sworn in as Liberia president. Vows to end corruption. Liberia inauguration of President George Weah 22.01.18. Joy and hope in Liberia as Weah is sworn in. George Weah sworn into office as Liberia's new president. Weah sworn in as Liberia president, says he will end corruption. Liberia's new president takes office. Former football star George Weah sworn in as president of Liberia. The goals that must guide ex-soccer player Weah in leading Liberia. Former soccer star George Weah inaugurated as Liberia's president. Liberia, George Weah sworn in as new president. Prince Mansour bin Muteb arrives in Liberia, Africa. George Weah sworn in as Liberia president as hopes soar sky high. The goals that must guide ex-footballer Weah in leading Liberia. Ex-footballer Weah sworn in as president. Liberia's new president takes oath of office. Liberia presidency. Former AC Milan footballer George Weah sworn in. Weah sworn in as Liberian president. Complete historic transition. George Weah sworn in as Liberia's 24th president. Former football star Weah sworn in as Liberia's president. Obasanjo, Saraki, Okocha arrive Monrovia for Weah's inauguration. Breaking. George Weah sworn in as Liberia's 24th president. Who is George Weah? The Chelsea striker who became a president. Flash. George Weah sworn in as president of Liberia. Photos breaking. George Weah sworn in as president of Liberia. George Weah sworn in as Liberian president. Obasanjo, Saraki, Okorocha arrive Liberia for Weah's inauguration. George Weah sworn in as president of Liberia. Joy and hope in Liberia at Weah inauguration ceremony. What Liberian president George Weah must do. Obasanjo, Saraki, Okorocha arrive Monrovia for Weah's inauguration. Photos. Nomvula Mokanyan to fill in for Zuma in Liberia. Mahama receives a rousing welcome from supporters. A quick look at George Weah, Liberia's footballer turned president. Back to George Weah's hometown. Ex-soccer star George Weah to take office as Liberia's president. George Weah, from football icon to Liberia president. Liberia to swear in new leader. Ex-soccer star George Weah. Africa Live. Football stars line up in Liberia for Weah's swearing-in video. Weah's journey from football pitch to Liberian presidency. Buhari, other African leaders for Weah's inauguration today. Liberia's new president will have to tackle some very old problems. George Weah to be sworn in with Liberian hopes sky high. Ex-footballer George Weah faces toughest challenge in the last 7 days. What George Weah must do as Liberia president. Abubakar, Liberia's next fight corruption. Mokanyan to represent Zuma at George Weah's inauguration. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's Liberia legacy. Zuma no longer going to Liberia. Mokanyan to fill in for Zuma video. Jewel Howard Taylor, Liberia's controversial vice president-elect video. Howard Taylor, Liberia's controversial vice president-elect, Africa's first elected female leader, steps down. Jewel Howard Taylor, ex-warlord's wife and vice president-elect of Liberia. Liberia's Sirleaf, Africa's first elected female leader. Who is George Weah, Liberia's new president, the beauty queen behind Glitz by Nalu.